Hey, Steve Zonardo here with Remax West Zonardo Associates. Just a real quick update on the market. Current inventory, we're at 13,284 units with 653 sales taking place last week. For us on a personal level, in our business, we had a lot of showings coming through our properties, our current listings right now, and also some buyer showings out in the market, right in the GTA more so, and a little bit north of that. But ultimately, yeah, we're getting some activity, which is great. Even some properties that were listed now for the last 60 days, we had 4 showings on one in the last week, probably more than we had in a month, let's just say that, so that's quite good. Talks of offers coming in, but we'll keep you posted, considering obviously there's a lot of doom and gloom with the media news regarding the real estate market, but we had some influx. And last week we did 3 deals, which is great. But let's look on, there's a lot to unpack here. So just reading this article here, and this is quite interesting, right? It says Canadian home prices post record monthly decline in September. And as I always said, like anything north of the 416 is basically going to lose their value first. And it's almost like a tidal wave. So a wave comes in, all the value gets pushed forward, and then it gets pulled back and brought back to where it started from. So that's basically what's currently happening right now. But look at this. So they said in the report released Thursday, found that home prices fell 3.1% in September compared to a month ago. But read this sentence. This marked the largest monthly decline since the index first started in 1999. So that's, remember, in 2017 where we had that boom bust cycle, this is even a higher rate than that. And then obviously goes into where it's losing the value. But their largest decreases, and I'm not surprised to be honest, is Ontario, and number one being Peterborough. Think about it, month over month, these guys lost almost 12% in market value, or property value rather. And so Windsor 5.4% and Belleville 5.1%. But look at Peterborough. I remember there was this, over COVID, naturally people couldn't buy properties, so they just went crazy. They bought properties everywhere, and Peterborough, I was watching that market, was just kept increasing. And for me, if you think of Peterborough, is it a place to live or is it a place to cottage? I was a little confused by that, but you can kind of see now, like, obviously it's going to be a place to cottage because they were grossly overpriced. Even some houses selling for over $1 million at a time, and I know a lot of people did some investing out there, Airbnbs, multiplexes and stuff like that, but I wasn't intrigued by this market at all. I'd like to stay just north of, let's say, 400 rather. I didn't like to go out that far east, and likely we didn't. That's one article, and this is quite interesting, and I've been preaching this forever, and now people are starting to come around to what's reality, and everyone's trying to say back home where it's like, hey, Canada is going to withstand it, and they got a lot of Canadians have a lot of money stacked in their accounts and blah, blah, blah. Listen, people overcompensate or overcalculate or complicate just the process of economics. It's all about affordability and how much debt you have. So it's like how much money you earn, how much money it costs to live, and how much is left. That's it. That's all you got to look at. And if you look at just the housing prices in Ontario, or in Canada rather, let's just talk about Ontario because we know that market best. Everything is so overpriced, and it's just not now. I remember we bought our first property in 2010. It was a nice little bungalow in Bolton. We paid $365 for the property. We sold that property literally 7 years later for triple its value. So in 7 years, it tripled in value. And at the height of this market, it was probably 4 times than what we paid for. Maybe it went to $1.2 million at some point. But let's say it's going 3.5 to 4 times its value, which is crazy in less than a decade. And if you look at how much money you earn, if you're in a fixed income, even if you're high employment in a CEO, or not a CEO, but like a director or something of that nature, you're making 150,000. If you're a teacher and you got seniority, you're 90 to 100K, whatever it is, plus pension. If you're a tradesman at the highest level, let's say an electrician, you're at 120K. Like these are fixed. These don't dramatically go up. But if your property values are going 4 times higher than the initiation in less than a decade, you're never going to catch up to that. And this is where we see it here. It says, the gentleman that wrote the article, he cautioned that debt to disposable income in Canada is far greater than the U.S. Fair enough. So we do make more money than them. But for every dollar Canadians earn, they owe $1.65. And I did a little report on this. I think last month or earlier this month, or maybe last month rather, talking about we're number 4 in the world for debt to to how much money we make to how much debt we have. So we're number 4 in the world. And if you look at the Americans, every dollar they earn, they spend $1, which is not great. It's parallel, but ultimately it's not like every dollar you earn, you spend $1.65. You're basically digging your own grave. And that's just to do with housing prices, because cost of living here in Florida, believe it or not, is actually more expensive than living in Canada. You have to be very conscious of what you're buying. If you're going to a store, like everything could be 20 to 30% higher, and plus you got to worry about your currency exchange. So you got to be cautious naturally what you're doing down here. But as long as you're earning U.S. dollars, you can compensate that. So that's pretty much what we have here. I think current inflation, they haven't released the numbers yet. I'm not sure why not. And this is still like September. We're not sure what October is set to be. Hopefully it's below this number here. It'd be nice to be at 6.5, but we'll see. We'll pay attention. We have a lot to unpack today, obviously over the weekend. Clearly we are invested in U.S. naturally, and we have to pay attention to everything that's happened in the U.S. And this, obviously, we're overlapped. Like Canada and U.S., we're a small version of this country. So what's happening here, it's almost like telling the future. And I've been preaching this for a while, where it says where the rent increases will cool off, and you'll start to see a decline in rent increases because of affordability. And you see here, and so this is a Gulf Shore business. Tells me everything about Florida. Obviously, I'm heavily invested here, and we want our clients to be heavily invested in this state, because we believe truly that it's going to be amazing. We're going to make a lot of money here naturally. It's just forget about politics, put all that shit out the window. No ego, no pride. You got to go where you can make the most amount of money, and this is the freest state in all of America. So, and it's proved it because of the number 1 migrating state in America, and I regurgitate this, keep going. A $7 billion surplus year over year. Last year was $14 billion. This year's $21 billion. This is a ready get going state, and we're going to be here. We're in the frontier. We're to make the most amount of money. But anyway, going back to the back home regarding the rent. The cooling, and I had a team meeting this morning with Mike and Elisa. Naturally, we do every morning, and talking about what's going to happen with current landlords, because landlords were so damn greedy the last 2 years. Guys, if you're making money and just covering your expenses and you're putting a few bucks away in your pocket, you're good. It's when your tenant stops paying. Why? Because you put in a position where they can't afford to pay your rent. And trust me, they're going to eat and drink before they pay your rent. Okay, so you're going to be the last on the spectrum to get paid. So all the greedy landlords over the last couple of years that were trying to push their tenants out or renegotiate deals behind closed doors, which legally you can't. Now those tenants are going to come back to you for a price decrease, or either stop paying you, or they're going to back out of your lease. And what happens with that is you're going to go back in the market, and just based on this, you're not going to make as much money as you thought you were originally. And this is truly going to affect the people that bought rental properties the last couple of years right now, where they're banking on this massive rent increase to kind of offset all the expenses, which is going to. This is the beautiful form of why I cashed out, because ultimately, if the tenant stops paying your mortgage, you're going to not be able to afford that property. You're going to have to list the property. You're going to take a shit kicking on the current market. And then someone like me that's cashed out early will buy this property at a fraction of the cost. And this is why we did that. But I'll read this article. It says, the U.S. rental crisis appears to be softening all through Florida. Rents remain the nation's most overvalued. Fair enough. I get it. So according to researchers at Florida, Atlantic, blah, 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 Miami leads the U.S. with renters spending 18% more than they should, based on past lease price history. 5 other Florida markets are among the top most overpriced rental premiums, including Cape Coral. So remember, this is Southwest Florida. This is my neck of the woods here. And actually, we're going to have an agent in place all over Florida, but this is where my driving, what I drive daily. So Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Tampa. We have an agent out in Tampa now, in Central Florida, which is great. Northport, Bradenton, which is still Southwest Florida, Orlando, which is Central, and Daytona, which is on the East Coast. So Cape Coral, Fort Myers, our renters are paying an average of $2,200 per month, nearly 17% premium nationally. The average rental premium at the end of September was 9.3%. The thing with this is there's a few things. Number one migrating state in America. People are coming down to check it out. they may not buy a house just yet, so they're renting. So that's putting a strain on the rental market. Okay. Number two is the hurricane. Ian just happened. Naturally, a lot of people got deposed out of their property. They have to rent temporarily until their houses are rebuilt. Obviously, through Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel Island, like that whole stretch. A lot of these people will need to rent or even purchase. So this is putting more strain on inventory for sale and also inventory for leasing. This is why we're still seeing that premium. But prior to the hurricane, it was still a very good market, because I was just looking at our current investments where we are, specifically in Fort Myers, which is on the top of Fort Myers, off of Buckingham, or in Buckingham rather, and it's not the the closest to everything. The good thing is the airport is 15-20 minutes, downtown Fort Myers 15-20 minutes, to the beach is about 35 minutes. So it's close enough to do the most important things, but for like daily commuting to like a store or something like that, you got to get out there. The Publix is close by, but if you got to go to a Costco or a Home Depot or a Lowe's, you're like 20 minutes out, which is not a huge thing, because these highways, they fly. It's beautiful to drive out here. Some other great news, and we'll close this. We're at the 11-minute mark. Look at this beautiful news. I just got this email from our representative at Pulte. So, hi, Stephen and Lisa. Great news. We're ready to start your house, which is quite exciting. This is the home we're building in Verdana. Therefore, I need a set introduction date with the construction manager. So how damn cool is this? I get to meet the construction manager, and I don't even know what we're going to be talking like. I don't know. But it's quite cool. We got a say, or we're going to keep us in touch with the whole process, which is quite cool. If we have any questions, I guess we can reach out to our construction manager, which is exciting. So we'll leave off on that. Guys, if you have any questions, please reach out, 647-962-4372. And I should be back in Canada this month. The thing is, there's really nothing going on back home that I really need to physically be there. So we just keep extending our stay, and away we go. But we'll keep you guys in tune. Thanks. Ciao.